Be Honest with Dr. Yana. Join me for honest conversations with experts, get practical advice that will help you to better navigate your relationships and empower you to create meaningful and lasting connections. Fridays on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are live on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. And for the podcast, Be Honest with Dr. Yana. Today, we have a guest that does not need an introduction, but for those who don't know him by any strange chance in this world, John Gray is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all times, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. He has written over 20 books and translated to approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries. Dr. John Gray, he helps women and men better understand and respect their differences in both personal and professional relationships. And his approach combines specific communication techniques with healthy, nutritional choices that create the brain and body chemistry for lasting health, happiness, and romance. Welcome, Dr. Gray.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Yana. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I am so happy that you could join us today, that it finally worked. You have appeared on Dr. Oz show today, CBS this morning, Good Morning America, appeared in Time, Forbes, and People. So that means that what you have to say, your message is absolutely important, and the whole world needs your message. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for writing on this topic and on your fantastic books and the message that has been helping people all along. So, Dr. Gray, let me ask you the first question, which is, why, in your opinion, men need women and women need men?
That's such a great question. I love that question. It's more relevant today than ever before because as women have become more independent, historically women depended on men for making money and for protecting them. And today, because we have a civilized society, you don't need a man so much for protection in most places. And you also don't need a man to make money for many women. They're making more money than men. You know, in the 90s, the cry was women are underpaid and so forth. But today, actually, statistics show that for the same job, for the same amount of time, women make more money than men. It's amazing. So this is a shift which has taken place. Now, there are statistics that show that at the very bottom level of jobs, women will take the low-paying jobs because, you know, when you're a mother and you're single, you'll do anything to take care of your children. But, you know, when you look at the educated women at the universities, what you see is 2 women to 1 man graduates. And education often helps you make more money. So anyway, so women today don't need men as much. So what you have is, what do women need men for? That's a big question. You know, I've said to many women, you know, we talk about it and I don't think I need a man. And I say, well, let me tell you what men need. Men need to feel successful. Men need to be able to be independent, to be able to accomplish, to achieve, to work and feel successful. That's the most thing. He depends on himself. He needs to depend on himself for that. But then that's going to create a hole in his soul. Once he can take care of himself, this is a progression for a man. Once he can take care of himself, he will find himself empty. And in that emptiness, he will turn to drugs or alcoholism or all these things. But the wise man will find a woman. We need women. Now, what's the evidence of that? If you look at divorce statistics, men will get married within 3 years. Women will take 9 years and usually don't get married again. These are just statistics. Don't blame me. But women don't need men as much, particularly now they have independence, a culture that supports financial independence. What do I need men for? And men are over here going, where are the women that need a man? It's just, it's literally when, I'm sitting in an office where I've counseled for 50 years. And basically, when a couple wants a divorce, like I just counseled a couple who the wife had taken off the ring. And so the man said, okay, I need to hire somebody. He can hire the best. So he hired me. And so I'm counseling them. In one session, she put the ring back on. I told them they still need a lot more work, but I gave them clear hope of what they can do because I helped them understand uh, how they're making the problems themselves. When particularly anybody who ends a relationship, they tend to blame the other person. They don't blame themselves so much. Uh, and so when I help couples, I help explain to women how you think you're giving more to him. You feel like you're giving more. You feel like you're contributing more. And there's no question about that. But it's not what a man needs. What a man needs primarily is to feel that you need him, because if you need him and appreciate him, you can't appreciate somebody for what they do for you if you don't feel I need them. Now, some people go, there's still women, many women are not in touch with that. So let me give an example. If you're hungry, and for example, right now, I happen to be on the 5th day of a water fast. Okay. So on the 5th day of water fast, I was at somebody's house the other day and they were making soup. It smelled so good. It was like heaven. And the senses become enlivened that the taste. I walked in my yard. I have oak trees and the wind was blowing and the sun is shining. And I feel like I'm in heaven. I don't normally feel that way. Okay. So I feel it because I really need to eat. So when you really need something and someone gives it to you, it tastes so good. It tastes so good. So if you're a woman and your husband makes $500,000 a year and you make $20,000 a year, you're so grateful to be with this guy because maybe you can't do that or you don't want to do what he does. And he does that for you. You feel so grateful that he's doing it. And I don't even want to do it. And I don't want to do it all by myself. I don't want to carry the responsibility. Isn't it nice to be in a partnership where you don't have to do everything yourself? So why do women need men? One level is you have companionship. You have somebody doing things for you, even if you're making money, because so many women are making money today and more independent. So what do you need? Well, Dr. Maslow, almost 100 years ago, answered that question. It's called hierarchy of needs. When your needs for survival and security are fulfilled, then other needs come into play. And for women, that need is the need for emotional fulfillment. Emotional fulfillment is anything somebody does that provides for you a message, a context, a support that will lower your stress levels. Lower your stress levels. When you're feeling happy, relationships are great. And part of what makes a hungry person, meaning you're in touch with your needs, happy, is you feed them. So men have to learn a new skill, and that we've always been providers to make women happy. Now we have to understand a new language, a new way of behaving, a new way of interacting with women that provides specifically for their emotional needs. And women have to realize that giving him the opportunity to do that and educating him on how to do that in a non-demanding, complaining way, educating him how to do that is the greatest gift you can give to a man. So that's not the way people think. Women say to me all the time when they're wanting divorce, like this woman I was just yesterday, I give and I give and I give and I get nothing back. I'm giving more and it's unfair. And as that process starts to happen, whenever a woman feels I'm giving more and I'm not getting back, then she's not appreciating what he gives. And if you don't appreciate what a man can provide, then suddenly the man will provide less. It's like if I go to a job and they don't pay me, then I'm not going to work at that job. This is all unconscious inside of us, but I give a conscious idea. So men have energy based upon feeling needed. Now, being on a 5-day fast, just for fun to share this, I was just laying out in the sun like a dead man. Okay. I have no energy at all. I get to come on this show and talk, and I'm full of energy because I'm needed. Whenever man is needed, he is motivated. So that's what women need. Women need a man to provide their new emotional needs that many women may not be aware of. And men may not be aware of it, but what men need is first to be independent and feel good about himself and do something that makes him feel successful, contributes to the lives of others. And once he can be happy on his own, then he needs to take the big task of providing for a woman. That takes maturity. But today, it doesn't take just the maturity my father had, which was to work hard without complaint, to be a not angry husband, a policeman in the home, because she had 7 children. And he was the policeman. Mom would say, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to tell your father. So she was so happy to be married to my dad, but he didn't have emotional support skills like how to listen to what a woman's feeling, what she's going through. He didn't have skills to be affectionate. He didn't have foreplay skills in the bedroom. He didn't have any of these things. And yet my mother was happy. Okay. So because her primary needs were survival and security and a man who had certain level of a degree of safety for her. Because the most important thing for women always is feeling secure and feeling safe. So
Well, this is, Dr. Gray, this is, in fact, like you mentioned, that wise men do. This is a wise men approach because nowadays there are a lot of not wise men or wise women. So, do women need to be also wise in order to approach the relationship with the opposite sex?
I love what you just said. And I like the idea of saying wise. But from my side, I would think educated. Because wisdom kind of implies to some people implies that you're just a wise person. You know, some people are stupid, some people are wise. No, everybody can be educated. The stupidest person, okay, from one point of view, they have not educational. If they are educated on the ideas that we're talking about today, suddenly a doorway opens up. Now, I just had lunch with my neighbor. He's been here 3 years up on the hill. And he called me, said, we should get to go know each other. He's a married man, 45 years old. He's got 3 daughters. And he invited me to lunch. And then he asked me, what do you do? I said, I wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. You wrote that? Unbelievable. That changed my whole marriage. That changed everything. And what he learned from that book that he could recall to me, I said, so what'd you learn? Oh, when my wife is talking, I don't have to explain things to her. I don't have to make her feel better. I have to tell her what she should feel. I learned just listen, ask questions, have a little empathy for whatever she's going through, and she will change by herself. There's nothing I need to do at that time. She's an independent woman. She's quite capable of shifting from feeling negative to positive. And that is the whole concept that you know as Dr. Yana is therapy, counseling. If people can see what they're upset about, they're no longer upset. They can understand what they're upset about. You know, I have a mountain outside my window. There's two ways of relating to it: is being on the mountain, being one with the mountain, or looking at the mountain. And when people can look at their feelings at a distance, then the brain can go, okay, if that's negative, that's causing pain, I can change that. But we are designed to look at negative feelings because if we look at our brain function, the left prefrontal cortex of our brain is always looking at what's positive, and they've proven this. And the right prefrontal of our brain is look at what's wrong. But when you're in a stress state, the brain will go into what's wrong and can't go into the right side. And for women, they go into a stress state primarily, and I can get to the biology of this as well, because stress, I'm talking about the stress hormone. Women go into a stress state when they don't feel safe to express themselves, to ask for help, to be protected if necessary. You know, when you don't feel safe, if you're a woman, you feel stressed. Men, I cannot feel safe and feel fine. Safety is not a major issue for men. I don't walk around going, you know, I don't feel safe. Certainly, if there was huge danger, again, I'm going to go, what should I do? What should I do? But I'm not going to feel a lot of fear. This is masculinity. Now, there's some men that are very feminine today. They're all about fear. Okay, questionable. But you don't get to where I am in success if you're not fearless. And sometimes I feel fear, but I don't act on it. I know it's an irrational feeling. I need to just let it be on the mountain, and I'm over here, and I let it go. Objectivity, understanding. Most fears people have are irrational. If it's a real fear, then your brain immediately goes into taking action and you do something. But if it's irrational fear, so many people have irrational fears. Women today, very commonly, they feel, I'm afraid my husband doesn't love me anymore. It's a big question. I'm afraid he doesn't love me, or I'm afraid if I ask him to do something, he won't do it. I'm afraid he'll get mad at me. I'm afraid I'm asking too much. I'm afraid I'll never get what I need in this relationship. I'm afraid other people, that's the fear of missing out. Other people have more than me and I'm missing out. Thank you, Facebook, for that. It's driving women nuts. And not nuts really, but it's just feeling stressed. And when women feel safe and secure that they have what they need. And most men, you are safe and secure. And if you're not, you should get out of that relationship. But what I help women understand is that your expectations of men are all wrong. Quite often, you expect him to be like a woman. It's like if you're a woman and another woman, and I come to you, Yana, and I say, oh, hi, Yana. How are your children? How's your family? Blah, blah, blah. And you'll listen attentively and you actually be more interested. And then you now feel you can ask me a question and ask me. I'm sorry, I said it wrong because a little confusing on the screen. So if we're two women and I see Dr. Yana, I want to tell you all about my life, but I'm not going to tell you all about my life because that would be selfish. So first I'm going to ask you about your life. You'll talk, and then you'll give me permission to talk about my life. Well, women, the same way, they want to get men to talk a lot so that they give themselves permission to talk a lot. But most men don't want to talk a lot. And if a man does want to talk a lot, he's on his female side. And most women in my counseling office are disgusted by it after a while. They go, I'm with a girlfriend here, or he complains, he has problems. I don't want to hear his problems. And yes, you do want to know that he's happy with you. So you can ask. See, these are things we have to learn communication skills. Honey, I'm so happy to see you. And you're in your cave. You're sitting on your couch watching TV. Listen, I just want to be reminded how much you love me. Do you love me? Yes, I love you. And you say, how much do you love me? With all my heart, honey. And you still think I'm beautiful? Absolutely, I think you're beautiful. And are you happy you married me? Absolutely, I'm happy I married you. You're the best thing that ever came in my life. He will begin to feel those things because he's not feeling it then. See, men have 25% more muscle mass, 10 times more testosterone. That means what that means is he's more disconnected from emotions. And that's good. That's so he can go out and protect you. That's so he can do the traditional male jobs that women still want from men, which is I want you to go out there and do the dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs. Okay. But that's not enough today. Okay. Women need this level of emotional support. And so
Well,
men
and even
educated. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
and even wanting to have this emotional support from a man, women just subconsciously they go and share or complain to a man about something, and the man's immediate reaction is to find a solution, find a solution, and help the woman. And in fact, the woman's desires only just to vent, just to talk, just to complain. For me, it was a huge game changer when I told my man, okay, here's the deal. I don't want you to change anything. I don't want you to find any solutions. I just want to talk. And it was so funny to see the eyes and the expression in the eyes of my man. Oh, so you just want to talk? Okay. It was a genuine surprise, but that was a game
And to the
changer.
same man, and this has been going on for 40 years, but I'm just telling you yesterday, he was like, I couldn't believe it could be so easy. Okay. It was just learning. There was another thing he learned. Uh, when she's complaining, it's not about me, even though it might sound like me. What she's telling me this is so that she can feel better. And there is a place to hear what she says. And for women to learn how to share their feelings without it sounding like complaining. See, that's another lesson to learn for women. And the way you do that, because ultimately, if a complaint is directly about him, it could be the complaints the yard's not done. The house is a mess right now. When he gets to the neighbors, he'll immediately go, he feels blamed. men can detach from that. But the hard thing is when she complains, you didn't do this, you're not doing this, you should do this. This is your mothering part of you. It's your mother gene that wants to tell men how they can be better. You want to improve him. You want to, you shouldn't do that. You should do this. And occasionally my wife says that. I just chuckle. I go, oh, thanks, Mom. And we laugh about it because she knows her job is not to tell me what to do. She can ask me to do things. See, a whole different story. If you analyze what a complaint is or a direction like that, really, it's a woman has a request that will benefit her. If you're asking me to do something that benefits me, I'm not going to do that. I'm already doing what I need to do. Ask me something that will benefit her. Every cell in my body, if I'm not stressed, wants to benefit her. This is what
Absolutely.
men's greatest need is to feel I have helped a woman be happy, the woman I love. I've helped my children be happy. Every man, when he wants a divorce, says, John, there's nothing I can do to make her happy. So what's the point of being here? I don't want to make her life miserable. I love her. I don't want to make it miserable. And a woman doesn't say that. She doesn't say, gee, I don't want to make his life miserable. She says, I do everything I can. I do this, I do this, I do this. I try, nothing. I do all of that. And he doesn't give me anything back. He doesn't give me back. And that's because when you start feeling like you're giving more to a man, you will suck his energy and his motivation to please you. It's the opposite of women, the way they think. You just have to understand from a man what's going on, and you can logically get it, which is if I'm not getting paid for my services, and what is the pay when I do services to my wife, that I had a meaningful difference, that I helped make her happy. And if you
Yeah.
get me happy, what do I do? I mean, everything I try doesn't work. And this is a revelation for men. So when a woman's unhappy, we try fixing it and solving it. Just like if you were a fireman, you'd put out the fire. So when you're upset, he wants to put out the fire. He doesn't know that the way you help a woman put out her own fire, which is shift from negativity to positive, don't get in the way. Just try to listen, give her the space to talk and express herself. And the same thing applies to men, but in a different way. Is that one of the big ideas of Mars Venus is men need space. They love to connect. We love to go so far into you. We actually go into your body. Okay. We want to be one with you, but then we want to be away because we have to find ourselves again. They don't use those terms. They just feel I need space. But what space does is creates objectivity. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, particularly for men, not always for women, but for some women it does as well. So, after a while with my wife, I noticed the attraction is not as much as it was last week. Okay. So I have a lot of passion in my life and my personal life. And so basically I said, I'm going to go teach a class in another town and I'll be back the next day. Okay. Sometimes 2 days. If I go away, I come back like a teenager. And that was the secret of my marriage.
And red carpet. She was waiting you with a red carpet, right? And
She was,
fireworks. She was missing you.
she was missing, but there wasn't she's pretty much her, but she did miss me. But it's me. I'm saying me. I felt the fireworks. I want one kiss and I'm just blown away. One kiss and I come back to the part of John Gray that's both masculine and feminine, because that's what sex is when men can feel masculine if they have an erection and feminine if she's enjoying what he's providing. See, this is men need women more than women need men. But when a man knows the skill of foreplay, then what happens at a certain point, and you can measure biologically when a woman's making love, her estrogen levels will start rising. And that's the major female hormone. Women need to make 10 times more estrogen than men. Then in order to feel romantic, they need to make 20 times more estrogen than the average man. So we're just comparing here because we're looking at differences. So the estrogen starts rising. And as it starts rising, it gets over the average level and it starts rising close to the level it would go to when she's ovulating. At that point, her testosterone levels will start to rise. And that testosterone is where she wants sex as much as he wants it. And that's the key. If you can help women increase their estrogen levels, she wants sex as much as him or more in a fun way. Now, there's a side effect. There's another way of looking at this, because whenever I say one thing, I always know the yes, but.
Yes, but what do men do? What mistakes do they make for the woman not to be in the place where they want her to be?
Oh, so many mistakes. And that's where the woman has to educate the man. He's just doing what he thinks is right, and she's
You
doing
call
what
it
she
training,
thinks is right.
Dr. Gray. You call it training. You have to train a man.
You know who reads my books? More men buy my books than women. For the first 5 years, it was women who bought the books, got men to read it. Now these feminist women who are so independent, I don't hear John Gray talking about men and women are different, but the men, oh, they are so into that book. Married men, they love their wives. And another guy will say, hey, you just don't understand it. You need to read John Gray's book. Men are so easy to educate. We are so flexible, whereas women are not. In certain ways, women are way more flexible. But imagine you've been doing everything you think is right, and women put a lot more into relationships than men do. You will look at the bookstore, 90% of the people who buy books on relationships are women. Women are totally into it. So when women are into it, they're putting all their efforts and energy into this relationship, and it's not working. It's natural for her to feel that, I'm getting less and less and less. And she doesn't know why. Because she's a part of it. Takes two sticks to make a fire. Okay. If you have any resentment towards your partner, if I have resentment to my wife, she will shut down. She will not feel safe. She cannot open up. She cannot have estrogen. What men need is 10 times more testosterone. And biologically, if your testosterone can't double, you're not going to be feeling physically attracted to her. So you bond by creating these moments of making love where you have these experiences where his testosterone shoots up really high, her estrogen shoots up really high based upon their interacting. Dr. Yana, one of the biggest problems in relationships today, besides not understanding men and women are different and how to communicate in a way that works, and I know you're going to ask me that in a moment, so I'll let you ask me. But before that, the obstacle to that is porn. Anytime a man has his testosterone going up due to a fantasy, his wife can never be a fantasy. So his interest in his wife will lessen. This is destroying relationships. This is why young people are not getting married. The males don't have that same sexual potency that says, I have to find a woman. When I was a teen, I really, really wanted sex, and it gives you the motivation to do what you have to do to get a wife, right? If you don't have a job, you're not going to get a wife, and you got to work hard, and then you'll get a woman to love you. You'll get a woman who says, I need what you have. This is all very clear in the past, but that's sexual potency. If I was to do a porn, my God, we'd be arguing and fighting and whatever, because there's no love potency there. The sex goes increases the feeling for a man. I'm not really sexual at all. I use sex in order to feel my love, but of course I use sex to do that. But men don't understand this. Nobody's taught them. And if I use a fantasy to feel the surge of testosterone that a man will have, then suddenly afterwards I'm depleted. All the energy's gone. And then it becomes an addiction. Whenever you eat a potato chip, you got to have another one. You got to have another one. Healthy meal is no longer satisfying to you. You give a dessert before a meal, that gives you a spike of dopamine, pleasure in the brain. It goes down. I need to have more dessert. I need to have more dessert. And these things, normal, natural things of life, do not produce abnormally high dopamine levels, addictive levels. Nobody's addicted to cauliflower. You like cauliflower, you're not addicted to it. So we've got all these sex addicts. They can't even do research on what I'm talking about because they cannot find a control group in universities of males who don't masturbate. This is like you can't even find it. I was lucky in my life, so I can teach people and help them understand. I developed my genius potential and my ability to be successful and the ability to have a successful marriage, to have an open heart, because I was a monk for 9 years. As a monk for 9 years, it was very clear what made you a monk is you did spiritual practice, but more important was you're completely celibate and you don't masturbate. You don't masturbate. Now, that's not true of all monks. That most of them do. I didn't. I just followed the rules and learned the power you get, the amount of love you can feel.
We're getting into the secrets of monkery here.
Oh, I know
Oh
it
my
all.
God.
I know it all. But you don't have to be a monk. I'm happily married. I have sex on a regular basis, several times a week. But I would never masturbate. If you masturbate, and now women who are on their male side, they're addicted to their clitoral orgasms. This vibrator business is huge. Okay, when women use their vibrator, what they don't know is they're creating an addiction to pleasure stimulated by a robot, not a man. There's no way a man can compete with a robot, just like there's no way a real woman can compete with a fantasy online as far as stimulating these hormones. Because anytime it's not real, anything that's not real is dangerous. And anything that's dangerous produces high dopamine levels. And that's just my interpretation of the studies that show that when males do pornography, their dopamine levels go super high. When you watch your phone, I mean, everybody knows about the phone. Kids are addicted to their phones. And, you know, the sad thing is parents are giving their children, little babies, and movies on their phones. And it's funny, my phone just rang. Turn it off.
It's communicating with you.
See, that is
Giving you that
everybody's
immediate
talking about.
pleasure.
Social media is driving people crazy again, because what it does, besides the fantasy of, you know, when you take a picture, you know, I grew up in a family of 7 kids, and we weren't always happy with each other, right? This is family drama that goes on. And many couples are about to get a divorce, but you take a picture of them on vacation, they're all going to go, hey, we're having a good time. We're so happy. We're at this hotel. We're so lucky. You know, this is all just putting on one part of them, but you only see that one part. You're not seeing reality, which is all these other things. It's the same thing with a lot of gurus here. They're on stage. Look at me. I'm on stage. I look radiant. I have all this energy. I just told you I was about to die on my hammock a few minutes ago. I'm fasting. I'm not no energy at all, but I can come in front of an audience and kabang, the energy flows through, because I'm getting the one, as you're appreciating me, 1, 2, people listening, appreciating me, but 3, I know I'm helping. So that knowledge of I'm helping. And so when I'm lying on the couch, I'm not helping anybody. See, particularly for men, we have to be helping for our energy to go up. For women, they have to have somebody helping them for their energy to go up. It can simply be your makeup is helping you. Your clothes are helping you. Shopping. Women love to shop. Shopping produces female hormones, putting little enormous. All these things are making you feel more safe and secure and happy, because you're depending on these things to make you look more beautiful. And what I counseled somebody today on, which is why the man couldn't get an erection, I explained the wife doesn't feel worthy of his love and attention. It was so clear, because she feels, you know, not good about herself. And again, it's a secret that people don't know. Men primarily get turned on by a woman enjoying a man's presence. Okay. If I'm making love to my wife, if she's not enjoying it as much as I'm wanting sex, then I make sure I go back to the things that would help her enjoy it. You know, with the kissing and the hugging and the breast touching. And those points produce a lot of the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of safety. And again, you get all this bad propaganda out in the world, because they're even saying men need oxytocin. No, men generally don't need oxytocin. It lowers their testosterone levels. Whereas women need oxytocin because it is a doorway that opens that safety, like a nice massage, feeling at ease, feeling you can ask for help and get it. You don't need, maybe not even need help, but you need to feel I can ask for help and get it.
But what happens then between a male and female when they're kissing and hugging and making love? A lot of oxytocin is produced. And now you're saying that for the more oxytocin, then testosterone falls. So what do we do for the testosterone not to fall during those times?
Her oxytocin goes up. So I'm the man. I'm sucking on her nipple. Major stipulation of oxytocin. First, you can't do it right away. You got to kiss for a while, hug her for a while. As her natural safety and the environment opened up, then the buttons that produce oxytocin. You know, oxytocin in a woman is the hormone that brings the milk down into the breasts. Sucking on the breasts is a super powerful thing to help a woman start feeling more and more safe. Biologically, oxytocin opens the door for her estrogen levels to go higher and higher. Estrogen is the hormone of love, not oxytocin. Oxytocin, everybody thinks oxytocin is a hormone of love. No, it's when a woman feels safe. That's, you know, feeling safe is a form of love, but a deeper form of love is feeling I can trust you, I can depend on you. So if I feel safe, now I can depend on you and I can trust you. So I'm going to allow myself to need you. Okay. You can't see, women don't feel safe with men. And so many women grew up with divorced families and they didn't see a father that they could depend on And they have no idea how wonderful men are because they didn't have a father. If you look in the Black community, uh, 70% of children in the Black community in America have no father at home. One. Two, 40% of the white community have no father at home. If you're a girl or a boy, doesn't matter, and you don't have a father at home, you don't need a man. You don't know what you need until somebody gives it to you. Imagine a child, they don't know they need milk until you stick it in the, this is what you need. And then they start sucking a bit and then they go, oh, I think this is what I need. You have to get what you need before you can know what you need. Something happens to you, go, oh, this makes me feel good. Now I want to do more of that.
But then it is possible to teach women also, even in these situations, to teach them how to behave with a man in order to bond with them. Because I was fortunate to learn it early on to have a healthy bonding with a man in terms of knowing that I should allow him to treat me well, allow him to do things for me. And this is how he falls in love with me. I
Yes.
learned it early on. And strangely enough, like I was telling you the other day, I um I bought your book. And when I read your book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, I could not believe that someone was actually writing things that I have known all along and been teaching others how to do it. The most important thing there that I learned that I was not wrong, because in our Western society, to be in this passive position, allowing men to do things for you, for him to be able to bond with you, right? That is not so acceptable. So I, in fact, was thinking that I was probably doing wrong. I am not such a progressive Western woman that I'm doing that. I'm a passive, and it didn't feel good for a while. But I thought, like, you know what? But that works for me. It works in my life, and my man loves me and wants to do more things for me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understood, by allowing a man to do things for you, that creates even more self respect in him, even more desire to come and help you and treat you best because you are appreciative. But nowadays, this is such a, I think it is. Such a tragedy and a pandemic that nowadays, and this started happening some time ago, several decades ago, that our society emasculates men, and men are not as masculine as before. Now I understand that we had a modernistic, not a modernistic, but we had a modernism before, and now at the beginning of the 20th century, right? And then now somehow we live in a postmodernistic world and the values are different. And men, like you said, they're more on the passive side. So, what do we do about that? How do we change it? Do you think that there is a positive future for our society in terms of relationship, or we are doomed if we're headed in this direction?
Oh, the thing about people is when they go so far in the wrong direction, they do wake up. I think people are waking up now. They're starting to
Hmm.
wake up. We've just gotten so lost. Not us. We have good relationships, but people think, oh, I can be single and be happy. Some people can. As a monk, I could have, but for my soul, it said you have to do more. I was very happy as a monk, independent person, all on my own, self-sufficient. For some people, that's okay. Particularly for women, it will not produce the hormones of happiness. That's just the reality. Okay. And maybe there's some exceptions to that. But there was so much that came up as you're talking. And that one thing was, and why this word being passive is actually, I'm just going to reinterpret it to a word that the Western world would understand better. Being passive or being receptive. See, they're the same thing, is giving a man the opportunity to give to you. And so you label that, he can do more for me because I'm passive. No, it's not passive. I'm just saying, for the Western person, the passive word is going to be a turnoff, because that means that you have no agency to get what you want. And the reality is that women want to be independent more now. Past, they could be passive as far as that, but uh, we want equality. But in equality, equal giving means each person being responsible for their role as men and women. And for the woman, primarily, if you want to say, I want to give to my husband everything he needs, I know as a man, I love my wife. I want to give her whatever I can. And a woman feels I want to give him everything I can. But what she's giving him is the wrong stuff. She's giving him the stuff she'd give to a child. What you give to a partner is the opportunity to give to you. The queen state, be like a queen. You have people waiting on you. So how to actually generate those hormones of femininity, because when you and what we even lower it down a little bit, if you complain and a man that goes, oh, okay, let me do that for you, and you ask him, you didn't do the garage, and he jumped up and said, oh, I forgot, I'm going to go do it right now, you would feel so good because you asked and you got something right away. One other thing is that men have a deal where we tend to prioritize things, little things, not important things, things that can wait. They get on the low priority and we blank them out. It's the thing that has to be done, the most important thing that has to be done, that we tend to focus on. Women don't. And my evidence for that is that women are feeling overwhelmed almost all the time. Not you, but women who are on their independent side.
I do too.
Okay. That feeling of overwhelm it's hard to prioritize. I have to do this and I have to do this. And, if a
Absolutely.
man doesn't know how to listen, he'll say things, well, honey, you don't have to do that. Well, forget about that. What's so important about that? Because that's what we would do so that we're not overwhelmed. Now, I ask in my class for 50, 40 years, I ask, how many men have felt overwhelmed? No men say they feel overwhelmed. How many women feel they feel overwhelmed? All these hands go up. Now what's happening in the last 3 years, 5 years, or younger people in the audience, I say, who feels overwhelmed? And these young guys feel they're overwhelmed too. They haven't learned how to be men. They don't have the masculine energy. They have the potential for the masculine energy. See, I can be a girl, I can be a boy, but if I become a girl, I'm weak. I don't feel good about myself. I'm not motivated. I'm angry because I'm making too many female hormones and not enough male hormones. And people don't understand this. Nobody's ever talked about balancing the hormones inside of us through our behaviors and our relationships, but that's what we're seeing now. And now people are like waking up and going, yeah, it's true. And I find all the evidence to prove it, which is women in the workplace. They did studies on stress levels of women in the workplace. Now, these are averages, not every woman. But in that study, it showed that when women go to work at the workplace, their stress levels go up, they double. Okay. And basically they double compared to men. So they're much higher than men. So they're doing a relationship between men and women. And that study was done with the intention of showing that the workplace is not supportive of women. And if we're going to invite women in the workplace, we need to change the workplace. Now, how do we change the workplace? By respecting women's needs more. What is it that women need more than men? Teams, working together, feeling supported, having space to have a human resource where you can go and complain, so ask for help, so we start making these changes, which I think have gone too far, but whatever. The changes are there, an attempt to help women feel more at ease in the workplace. Their stress levels are double. Okay. So, and then when she comes home, whether she's married or not, her stress levels double again, because there's a gene in most women that says, I want a beautiful home. Okay. I want a beautiful home, and I want things to be clean, and I want things to be nice. And it takes a lot of work to do that. Okay. And maybe they have a housekeeper. Maybe they may not be as stressed, but if you have children, you want to make sure your children are fed, and you haven't seen your children all day. You want to spend time with your children, and you missed out on a whole day of spending time with your children, because many women who are in business, they say, oh, I can't be with my kids all the time. I understand that, because the world we don't have a culture that supports the mother being at home with their children. We have a culture that's it's too expensive to have children. That's why people aren't having babies. It's too expensive. Now, why is it too expensive? Well, that's called inflation. As soon as women were making as much as men, then as a married couple, men and women have more money. So what are they going to do? They're going to buy more expensive houses. When there's more money out there, people pay more. And now you've got this nice house that you paid more for than before, when women weren't working, everything was more balanced. A man could make enough money to support his family. Now it takes two people to support his family, because if people have the money, they will spend it. That's the nature of with people. They will spend everything they have to get more. And that's the point of having value, making value, so you can have more in your life. Okay, so that's the general theme. So we have all these problems that started with birth control, then feminism and the whole thing, and we're adjusting to it now. I don't think it's a bad thing. You asked about the future. What it's about is taking my ideas, which I wrote in Men Are from Mars, which are so helpful for many couples who have sort of a more traditional aspect, women who are actually have female hormones. You see, so many women, once they're in the work world, they don't even want to have children anymore. I mean, why have children? There's too many children in the world, and we need to slow down the population. They don't know what they're missing, and they can't know until their hormones actually change, because there's a hormone inside of women that says make babies. It says love. It says be happy, do fun things. Don't do everything for everybody, just for your family. This is like the hormones affect our brain tremendously.
Now, do women consciously suppress those hormones? They suppress the thoughts, and then the hormones are suppressed as a consequence.
Let's say you're upset with your husband, or you're upset about your job, and you don't like the way people are treating you at your job, and you can't tell them, then you're suppressing them. What you're doing is you're doing what men do to create testosterone, is forget about what you feel, do the right thing. Okay, if I can't complain to somebody because I know logically they're going to not like me and not promote me. So I do the right thing, and I butter them up, and I do my job right. So rather than talk about how I feel, I do the right thing to make the situation work. And clearly, ignoring, or you could call it suppressing, your complaints and your fears and your anger and your frustrations, and you're feeling disrespected and you're not feeling supported. All those feelings you cannot communicate in the workplace. And in my opinion, you shouldn't. The workplace is to get things done. It's not a therapy session. It's not a marriage. A marriage, come home to your partner and talk to them about the day, and then those feelings can be expressed. But historically, if you actually did that, then men will say, oh, don't be upset about that. You should do this. You should do this. And it's not a problem. So we will push down her feelings. First, she pushed them down. And if she actually somebody told him you should try this, and she did, her husband would immediately start telling her, oh, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be upset about that. You're just being selfish there. He would have these comments that are not helpful at all. So then she would learn to suppress her feelings to her husband. And then when you bury those feelings, we'll just take another note here, as you would know, but most people don't. Whenever you have suppressed feelings from the day, things that came up, but they're not being acknowledged, they're not being talked about, whatever, when you push them down, and this is only for women I'm talking about. Men do not have to talk about it. This is another thing where therapy went wrong. Men have to learn not to talk about it. They have to learn how to mentally process it through analysis. And if it's something that's very, very big, then they can talk about it to another man or a female therapist. They shouldn't be talking to their wife about their frustrations at work and his fear. I don't know what they're doing, and I hate this guy, can't stand him, and I missed my opportunity. If he's having those kind of feelings, do not share that with your wife. You share it with yourself. So a different process for men. And all I'm doing is just saying, look at what behaviors create estrogen and what behaviors create testosterone. Men only experience stress hormones when their testosterone is low. Women only experience stress hormones when their estrogen levels low or their progesterone levels are low at different points in her cycle. And that's all written out in my hormone book, which is called Beyond Mars and Venus. And every woman should read it to know about her body, which is when she's in the job, she's making testosterone and not making estrogen. Anything you do, any work you do to make money produces testosterone. Any decisive job where you have to make a lot of decisions produces testosterone. So you want to be able to come home to a personal relationship where you can feel free and safe to express your discontent about your job. And if a man, you teach him how to listen, just like you said, honey, I don't need you to fix anything. I don't need you to say anything. And I want you to know it's only going to be 10 minutes. This is we're finishing up, I know, and this is the fix. It's only 10 minutes. You don't have to say anything, and magically I will feel better and grateful that you listened.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Gray, I am so happy that you could join us today. And in fact, our psychological sciences and every science that we have reached the highest heights in it, but we are not able to communicate with each other. You should be creating the Mars Venus University because there is a pandemic. People don't know how to relate to each other. We don't understand each other as genders. And I believe that you are doing such an incredible and such a valuable work on this earth that so many people have benefited and were able to keep their relationships, save them, or to create better relationships. So all thanks to you. So Mars Venus University needs to exist.
Well, it
Thank you
does
so much.
exist. It
Oh, it
exists
does
in
exist.
China. In China, we have a whole building and everything. The Mars Venus. I mean, all the universities there. They love my work because they're not feminists there.
Do
They
we need to
know.
go to China in order to learn it?
Well,
We need one here in California.
the first thing you could do is go to marsvenus.com. We have so much information there, so many classes there. It's all available to people. But I thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you very much. And I hope that we can meet again to speak about hormones.
Yes, we can do that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You have a fantastic day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Well, you have been with this, with Be Honest with Dr. Yana on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM. Thank you for being with us today. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.